Me, the on Wall Street, and the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, greatest financial institution in the world, the ceiling and the floor. Oh my God. Episode 9,875 of What the Heck's Going On, a quarter of 250,000, 3/8. Take them. You know what? I mean, I don't even know what to say. We've just closed out the third week of June in the second half of the year and the second quarter of the year, and so many moving parts that are going on this market and this globe, you know, with this administration, with the tariffs, with the Federal Reserve, with interest rates, with so much. I mean, I could just start listing, right, all the things that go into where we are as far as geopolitical, geoglobal, and markets, right? I mean, there's so many moving parts. It is a 1,000-piece puzzle. You're sitting around in front of the fireplace, you know, like on Christmas Eve, looking at this puzzle going like, what the heck's going on? That's why this is episode 9,875 of What the Heck is Going On. Let's chat. Today was an S&P rebalance. Today was one of the largest option expiration in history, volume-wise. We closed out the day with volume of 3 billion shares. Now, up volume, down volume, which is absolutely baffling, and it felt that way the way the market traded. If you look at the close, let's look at this for a minute. Look at the way, if you can see that at all, we flatlined at the bottom of the market all afternoon, literally up and down within a 10-cent range, bizarrely enough. And the advances versus decline volume was literally 1 for 1. 1.5 billion on the tape on up volume, 1.5 billion on down volume. That is, I don't think I've ever seen that at all. That just goes to show that for everybody buying this thing and people think that they're trying to structure themselves and build a long-term position on the buy side, there are people out there either getting out of positions, building a short side position as well. I've never seen that. It's usually 2, 3, 4, 10 to 1 based on what's going on. What does that really mean? I'm still reeling from the day, right? From the week, from the quarter, from the first half of the year, because it's wild. We ended up closing, I mean, it couldn't be more flat. And that, I guess that's probably a good thing. Maybe it was a very constructive day in that way, right? Closing out one of the largest expirations, right? So, you know, it's amazing. For every buyer there was a seller, and that doesn't always work that way, right? There's usually some kind of a dislocation. Incredibly enough, it was as flat can be. Yes, there's more red on the screen. The Russell was down, oil was down, coming off of its highs based on what was going on in the Middle East. The VIX is off. That means that the fear index is a little bit down. A lot of red on the screen, but minimally. We ended up closing down, you know, 8 points on the SPY and up a little bit on the Dow. So there's a lot going on. Over the last couple of weeks, we've really literally seen CPI and PPI, economic numbers, the jobs report and retail numbers come in, right, trying to identify have we seen any integral effects of the tariffs already on our market and our economy? And to be honest, not a lot, except the retail numbers, which showed that prices have increased. And that's a big deal. We didn't see it in the jobs report, PPI or CPI. So it's not showed up there. It's not like it's not going to happen. It just hasn't showed up there yet. Okay? But as far, you know, maybe this was a constructive day because people are just trying to position themselves into the second half of the year. Tech, you know, have we regained all the losses that we incurred during that February 19th to sell off to April? We have. Are all the indices back where they were? Yes. Are all the stocks back right up against? At one point last week, we're down only 1.5% below record highs. Now we're down 3.5% from there. So we've drifted a little bit. Now, that makes absolute perfect sense because we're in the middle of a massive global confrontation that not only is it controlling a big part of the world, but it's got this incredibly sensitive component to it, which is oil, which is energy, and how that affects everything. Right? So, you know, everything is up a little, down a little, $2 trillion market cap for Tesla. You know, where's Tesla going, right? Where is NVIDIA going? Where is the whole tech sector going? Where is money being put to work? What does the rest of the year look like? Federal Reserve meeting. I have to admit, one of the key takeaways from this week and the Federal Reserve meeting that we did have was that we know that Mr. Trump has been pressuring Jay Powell to cut interest rates, and cutting interest rates in a solid growth environment is okay because that pours gasoline on the fire and the market rallies. It is not the thing to do, cutting interest rates in a low growth or no growth environment, which is where we're at right now because of the costs we're incurring from all the tariffs. Tariffs are a tax. Tariffs are a charge down, right? So that's why Jay Pow does not want to do it right now. Mr. Trump doesn't know that part of the economic cycle, so he just wants it to happen for whatever reason. It's something to do, or no disrespect. It's just like it's not what should be done. And for the first time, Mr. Powell basically said, you know what, Mr. President, he didn't say it to the president, but you know that he was talking to the president when he said, if it wasn't for the fact that you've imposed tariffs on half of the world, I would be cutting rates now. Okay, that had to have been a shot across the bow. That's a big deal. Okay, so that's where we stand. Now, did we open the door for a couple of cuts? Maybe one in July, yes. Maybe two this year, yes. Now, is that going to be a good thing? It's going to be based on what impact the tariffs are going to have on the economy, on the globe, right? Look, we still have an open-ended, massive global confrontation happening in the Middle East that involves a lot of people's lives, okay, and all prayers out to everybody in that region. And that's a mess. Also, where do we go from here? How long is that going to go on? And what does the end game look like on that side, right? Then, where do we? It's just like my mind is spinning on this because there's just so much going on here. And then where does the market go? Where does the Fed go? What are we doing with these deals? Right? Besson and Lutnick talked about a couple of months ago. Deal on the table, right? Done. Like none of that has happened. Do we have something going on with China? Now let's talk about July 9th because July 9th is going to be a big day. July 9th is the day that the EU got for the completion of whatever deals they plan on doing with the president. That was a bold move. And so then July 9th also is the day where this 90-day pause expires. So a lot on the table when it comes to the tariff story coming up in the beginning of July. So look, you know what? We could be in a lot worse shape as a market right here, right? Taking into account a massive global war, a massive energy crisis when it comes to that war and that area and that sensitivity. Could be a lot worse shape. We're okay. We're okay. The world's a bit of a mess, but we're okay. Globally, economically, market-wise, we're okay from the economic standpoint. The other parts are a mess. But that's where we are. And so, you know what? Monday, we've got a lot still coming into the end of June, right? You know, this is the end of a quarter. This is the end of a half. It's been one of the most topsy-turvy roller coaster quarters and halves ever in history. Right? And so we're just going to take it a day at a time. We're a little bit walking on broken glass, a little stub, a little pebble in my shoe, a little bump in the road. True. True dat. However, next week we're going to have the Russell. We have a number of other indexes closing out. Let's close out the half. Let's talk next week and really reevaluate where we're going from here, where we've come from, where we're going, and what it all looks like. And that's all I got to say about that.